残酷な天使の空越えていく握りしめた手のひら
Hey everyone, welcome to the Adcast, a podcast about the study of modern visual culture. And I'm Ranu, and I am neither wonderful or lovely or beautiful or brilliant like Soup tried to make me say. But there's also Soup here, my lovely
Hi.
co-host.
Hello. I did try to get you to say all of those things, and you wouldn't say any of them directly, but you did say all of them, so you know that I attributed all of these things to you. And that means I win.
No. What? No! Screw you!
I'm gonna take that victory. It's mine.
Oh my god. Okay, well, this week, AT stands for Aliment Tournament Cast, because French.
I mean, technically it's English. It's technically an English word.
But you said it was based off a French word.
Yeah, but so is like a third of English. That's not even just like anything. That's just English. It's just lots of French and lots of, Spanish and German.
Mm.
There's a lot of things. English is sort of like the language equivalent of a soup.
Of you?
Yes, of me.
Is that why you study English?
That's why I study English, because I am the embodiment of the language as a person.
Oh, it makes sense now. I get it.
So this week we are discussing Shokugeki no Souma, or Food Wars, as it is known.
Shokugeki no Souma.
Shokugeki no Souma!
Yeah!
But before we get into that, how have you been? What have you been doing?
I've been good. Been streaming a lot more. Dude, it's the last week before my convention, so I'm just like buckling down and trying to get everything done.
God, that sounds stressful.
It's stressful. I hate it.
I don't even want to think about that. That's why I don't go to a lot of conventions, or any conventions.
Well, I need to go to you. I'm gonna need to go to one with you, at least once.
I mean, probably. I've never been to an anime convention, which probably kind of outs me as like a bad anime person.
You're a terrible person. I'm just kidding.
Right? I'm like a fraud. Like, what do you mean you've never been to an anime convention? I don't know. I just never have brought myself to do it. I don't know.
I gotta pull you out to one. You're in Cali.
I was gonna say, it's not like there aren't any near me. It's just that I don't go to them at all.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I don't know. Listen, I already spend a lot of money on poor purchase decisions anyway. Like, going to an anime convention would just sort of seal the deal on that.
I mean,
affair.
It would. Actually, you know what? Don't go to one. I only imagine what would happen, and it would stress me out to watch you spend all that money.
Yeah, it would be awful. I would just be like, okay, that's it. That's all the money I'm spending. But wait. Look at that thing.
This thing. You just need to go, but have someone hold your wallet for you.
This is the worst idea I mean, it's the best idea
exactly.
that you've ever had, but it's also just the worst, because then I wouldn't be able to buy anything, and I would be sad.
It would be pain and suffering for you. Yes, I understand. But
it would be torment. Listen,
this is necessary.
There's nothing more perversely enjoyable than spending money on things that you like. Like, I went to the grocery store today, and I found some amazing deals. I bought a steak for $4.
Oh.
I bought a $4 steak. I'm going to make a dinner with that $4 steak.
$4 dinner.
I bought like a $4 steak. I bought like a little bundle of mushrooms and an entire grapefruit, and I only spent $6 at a Whole Foods. Do you know how impressive this is?
Whole Foods too. That is impressive.
Yeah. Anyway. So it's good to hear. Good to hear that you're in that con crunch.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I can't wait to get out of it and return to life.
That's how I feel like every time finals roll around.
Yeah. I feel like during these things, we just kind of like hole up and then get sucked into something, and then when we come out of it, we wonder what kind of damage we left behind because we stopped talking to people and
How much did we damage just our everything? No,
yeah,
I feel
exactly.
this.
Yeah, and then I feel bad.
I become a hermit for the entirety of like a week before and the week of finals. It's just, you shouldn't try to talk to me.
Yeah. But sometimes people do. And
yeah,
then
but sometimes people
you
do.
have to let them down.
You just have to be like, listen, like, we're cool and all, but I can't do this.
Yeah.
I'm busy.
Yeah.
Which
Feels
is
bad.
even, I will say it's even worse for me because I have like 18 social obligations every week.
Yes, you do.
Like, I was so busy that I had to stop doing anime for a bit with our group.
Yes.
So we're actually like super behind on the seasonal stuff.
Dude, that next time that we watch anime, we have to wrap up everything so we can do our seasonal wrap up.
It's going to be so stressful. It's going to be our own little sort of anime crunch. Speaking of, later today, oh boy.
Oh, I'm ready.
Yeah. We'll have to choose one thing and then go through it all at once.
Yes.
Until we catch up. It's stressful just thinking about it, actually.
It'll be fine. The viewers, they won't know, but we'll know.
You just said it in the pot. That's fine. I'm not even going to cut that part out. That's staying in there so that everybody knows.
Yeah, they won't know, but we'll know about the crunch.
Oh, no. They will know.
They'll know.
They'll know.
Okay.
Anyway, I have been up to a lot lately.
Yes.
Really just like everything. I released a tabletop game. So
What?
you can go out and buy that. It's called First Contact. It is about an alien and a human falling in love in sort of a high school, middle school setting. It's very anime without ever being explicitly anime.
Nani, I want this. Lini, link me.
It is a tabletop game that I made for one of my classes, and then I released it, and you can buy it, or you can just not pay for it and take it because I just want you to have it.
I want it.
I'll link it to you after.
Thank you.
And then maybe I'll just like include a link somewhere in the description for the podcast or something. But anyway,
Yeah.
I did that. I did my finals. I got a haircut and
Did you?
dyed. So
What?
my hair
What?
is like red again.
Oh,
What do you
okay.
mean,
I
what?
thought you meant died as in you died.
I died? No,
Yeah.
I didn't know. What?
Like the haircut was so horrible you died.
No. My haircut is great. It's a little bit longer than I expected. The bangs actually weren't cut that much, honestly. They were just kind of trimmed, but I kind of like it. It's very, very anime, a little bit emo, depending on how far the hair creeps over, but I can definitely hold it over one eye and pretend that I have a demon lord sealed in one of my arms, so, you know.
Send me a picture and then I'll know.
Yeah, and then you'll know. It's fine.
Okay.
I am like thinking about in the future I'll probably have to get another haircut pretty soon because my hair grows really fast. And the reason that we didn't cut it that much is because instead of bleaching this time it was just dyed because there were still some bleached parts left, so she left part of the most of the hair intact so that the bleached parts could absorb the red dye and be red. I also got a futaba jacket.
Yes, you did.
I did.
How much was it again? 200 something?
200 something. I actually looked at the PayPal statement and it was exactly $237.
Oh.
Which, to be fair, that also includes shipping, so it's actually not terrible considering people pay $200 for like normal jackets. So
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
it's not terrible, and the build quality on the jacket is impeccable. So
okay, so it's quality $200 versus
right. This is the actual official recreation jacket that they created with the character designer for P5. So
so this is like Atlas approved.
So this is Atlas approved. It says Persona 5 on the little tag.
Oh, dude, that's dope.
It's fucking amazing. It's my favorite jacket now. It's a little big, but whatever.
Okay,
Futaba's
good.
small.
Yeah. She is small. I want to see your Atlas approved short shorts to go with that.
I do have to get Atlas approved short shorts and also like a tank top.
Yes.
And also like that weird sort of shoulder cut shirt. And then also the knee high, the thigh highs, and then
The thigh highs.
boots,
Dude, we are
and
called
that's
the
it.
Absolute Territory Podcast. Where's the territory, Soup?
I know. Apparently, in this sort of duo that we have, I have to pull the slack for where the absolute territory is.
Yes, please. I'm not gonna do it.
I'm disappointed, but okay. But yeah,
Alright, cool.
maybe one of these days if I have time and money, which it'll be
Soup, for an anime convention, you gotta cosplay, and you're gonna cosplay as your waifu.
That's
and it'll
true.
be great.
That's true.
Yeah.
I guess I could very much do that.
Mhm.
I would either have to buy a wig or I would just go short-haired. I mean, my hair kind of fades out into the futaba orange anyway.
It does, yes.
So that's not.
I mean, you could be male futaba, like
Yeah.
just with
okay.
the short hair instead of long hair.
Just with the short
Easy.
hair.
You already got glasses and stuff and everything. It's just
That's true, and my glasses are constantly falling off my face.
why?
They're not actually, but they're like they're consistently a little bit lower than I like want them to be. But at this point, it's just impossible to fix.
So do you do
So-
the megane, the push up, like?
I do it every 3 seconds.
Yes.
You have no idea. Like, and I have like, I do it all the different ways too. Like sometimes I'll just like nudge them. Sometimes I'll like do the little salute while I push them up. There's a lot happening. Is there anything else? Oh, okay. So this is not going to be a spoiler because this podcast is going to come out on Wednesday, but my boys, the New York Excelsior, won the Stage 2 playoffs in the Overwatch League, and I'm so proud of them. They reverse swept Philadelphia Fusion. I'm so hype. I'm so emotional.
Oh.
It was a very, very intense, down to the wire, nail-biting series. They were on the edge the whole time,
Oh.
and they ended up pulling up a win. It was amazing.
So it was close the whole time up till the end?
It was, well, some of the games were, some of the individual matches weren't as close, but because they were essentially one match away from losing all 3 games that they had to win,
Oh.
because it's best of 5,
Ah.
it was down to the wire all the way, and they really turned up, and I'm so proud of my boys.
Oh, congratulations.
I'm so proud of my boys. But yeah, I think that's enough of my life and however much I've been doing, which is really sort of a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about food anime. Specifically, Food Wars.
Yeah, nudity.
Yeah,
Food and
content
nudity.
warnings, nudities. like if you had an orgasm, but it was because you ate food, which, to be fair, describes my sort of life, actually.
Oh no, I didn't need to know that. I learned too much about you, son.
Listen, all I'm saying is, have you ever just had you're tired and you're hungry and you just put something hot and cheesy in your mouth and you feel like you're gonna live forever?
Forever, but that's not the same as an orgasm.
You feel like you're gonna achieve enlightenment, which, to be fair, is pretty close to an orgasm, I think. Or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe an orgasm is close to achieving enlightenment. Who knows?
This is a not safe for work podcast now.
This is a super not safe for work podcast, but that's because Shokugeki no Soma Food Wars is not a safe for work anime to watch at work. Which, unless you're working in the hentai industry, in which case it's very sort of blasé.
Blasé.
It's very yeah, okay. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a lot, I would say.
Yeah.
It really kind of leans into the Japanese anime fan service industry sector. But it's also
You don't
just really
say.
good.
It is good. So for those who don't know, Shokugeki no Soma, or Food Wars, is about this academy of chef high school students. They're all training to be awesome chefs. And it just so happens that whenever anyone happens to eat real good food, their clothes fly off their bods. That's the anime.
That's it. That's the anime.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't get simpler than that.
Yeah.
Yep. So this is an anime that I feel like a lot of people found to come out of left field, especially if they don't read a lot of manga. because it's like, hey, what's this? It's about cooking. And then, the first episode rolls around and people are like, oh, what's this anime about cooking? Wow, that food looks really good. And then, the people put the food in their mouths and suddenly there are tentacles. And then later they put the food in their mouth and they're literally orgasming.
Yes.
Just all over the place. There's just so many of them. There's like 3-4 dudes at once.
Yeah, so what this anime is very nice about is that it shows men and women with their clothes flying off. Mostly women because
anime.
Yeah, because anime, but they do the men's too, which is
there's some good men's service, especially my boy Doji McGinn. He's just big and he's buff and he works out. There are a lot of butt shots.
Yes, he does work very hard.
I think in terms of leveling the playing field, it does more than most anime. In terms of equal opportunity fan service.
Equal opportunity. Still skewed, but more equal than others.
Yeah. So yeah, when people eat food in this show, their clothes fly off and they get naked and they start moaning. And sometimes it's not even like a metaphor. Sometimes their clothes just literally come off.
Why?
So, okay. There is actually a canon explanation for this, but the canon explanation also makes no sense. It's not like some bullshit midichlorians thing. It's not like they have a virus gene or whatever, right? It's like apparently passed down in the Nakiri family is this ability, which is essentially like an aura, right? Like it's a blessing, they call it.
Okay.
That when they eat good food, their clothes fly off. But this is the interesting part.
Okay.
Nakiri Azami, who is the big evil man.
The Otosan?
Yes, the Otosan. Big evil food devil man.
Yes.
When he eats like really amazing food, he makes other people strip with his aura. Yeah, that's right.
But wait, how come? Wait, hang on. But up until this point, no one's questioned this, though, right? Like it's like a normal occurrence in this universe for people's clothes to fly off. It's just a normal thing for their clothes to fly off. Although, if you see it like, if you look carefully, the only people whose clothes like fly off and stay off tend to be members of the family. It tends to just be the old man grandpa. Usually he's like, "Oh, my clothes are gone." Yeah. It's because of the family blessing. It's passed down in his family. So everyone else's clothes regenerate except for the families. Right. Everyone else, it's like a metaphor, but for him, it's real. Like he just strips. Okay. I see. And then this is a thing in like for the Otosan, the evil Otosan, who is, I mean, his clothes don't fly off, and it was kind of explained weirdly in the manga. It was like in the latest chapter where there was like, it's because he married into the family, and we're not sure if it's because he married into the family that his version is weird, or if his version is weird and also he got the blessing because he married in the family. It's kind of unclear, but that's it. That's the canon explanation. They essentially have like hockey from One Piece. Hockey? They're just, I mean, like the aura thing or whatever. What do they call it? Did they call it hockey? What? I don't know what you're talking about. Do you not read One Piece? No. Okay. Well, then I'm talking to a brick wall then. Wow. This explanation is going nowhere. It's like more than a wall. You're a wall that someone's drawn a face on. You called me lovely. Are you saying that a wall can be lovely? Leave this podcast, please. I didn't go on here to be hurt like this. Anyway, it's like a thing that they have, right? It's like in other anime, pressure, right? Yes. When like someone's really strong, they like, oh, he's got such pressure. In One Piece, it's like a physical thing that people feel, right? Like they can't move. I think I know what you're talking about. But it's basically that. Okay. Interesting. Anyway, that aside, let's talk about the plot, or sort of just the general structure, which is
it's based on what are called Shokugekis, which are basically food fights, but not in the way that you're thinking. It's a chef battle. It's like Iron Chef, but more moaning and stripping and high schoolers.
High schoolers stripping, but then also adults stripping. Everyone strips.
Nobody has any clothes on.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't think
you'll see every character naked at least once.
Yes.
We get so many shots of the main character Souma's body.
We
because
do.
He eats food and then he's just like, I'm naked.
They usually do it pretty fast for him, but then they glorify all the other characters usually.
Yeah. I will say it's quite interesting by the end, and this is kind of a very I think this is actually quite clever as a way to describe how good food is, because that's not something that you can normally really get across in a visual medium, because obviously like this is one of those things that's like, this is about taste and smell, right? And so we have to have that filtered through the characters, and I think the easiest shorthand to that is, you know, just sort of these fan service shots where they're just like, you know, wow, this makes me feel really good to eat, right? It's like, we know what that's like.
So you think that they grossly exaggerate these metaphors in order to convey that sense of what we cannot experience through the anime, which is the taste of the food.
Right, and I think that's pretty important for something like this. Like, take a look at movies like a movie like Ratatouille. If you look closely at the way that they try to describe flavor, they tend to use these kind of like abstract color swirls, which I think does a pretty good job, because the images themselves have a texture to them, which is pretty good. And I think this is just a sort of another way of getting around to it. And it's also, I mean, it just falls within the author's line of specialty, because, you know, he came from drawing hentai manga. That's not even...
Just drawing what he knows.
That's not even a joke. He actually does, or did, rather. Yep.
I mean, it's a good time when a hentai manga artist becomes, you know, Shonen Jump, you know.
Shonen Jump big boy, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think that I don't think he writes it, right?
Oh.
Like, or at the very least, I don't think he completely writes it. I think he either has a writer or he consults some people. But the actual plot is quite good. It's pretty basic. You know, it's just like, oh, this is, you know, extremely talented underdog cook boy, and he's got to go through every cooking circus ring to get to where he needs to be, which is the best chef pirate king.
Yeah. I mean, I like all the thought that they put into the food, right? Like,
right. Yeah. I think it's a great way of having you know, shonen battle without fighting, because sometimes they rely on the metaphor of fighting, but oftentimes they will go, you know, to other things, namely the fan service shots, to tell you how well they're doing. And it's a really great way of having a competition where everybody has a unique style. And this is one that's like really good for food, because you can definitely tell what everyone's sort of styles are, right? Like every character has a distinct like cooking style to them, and that's very characteristic of real life cooking, where people are like, I specialize in Asian cuisine, etc., etc.
Right. Yeah, I love watching, because they approach all the chefs, basically every arc or whatever, they show off each of the chefs and their specialties. And so you get to see all sorts of different recipes, which is really cool. And yeah, I do like the fact that, I mean, it is called Shokugeki no Soma, but they don't primarily like rely on the Shokugekis to tell all the food stories.
Right, yeah, and that's pretty important. But also, Food Wars has one of the best tournament arcs ever in recent years. In the last, like, I would say decade, probably.
Oh, that's a high claim.
It's a pretty high claim. I don't know. When did the Naruto tournament arc come out?
God. We were babus. You were a super babu.
I was a super babu. I was watching this shit on like Cartoon Network or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that post Big 3, this is probably the best tournament arc.
What about Boku no Hero?
Well, that's the other one, right? That's the other one
Okay.
with a really good tournament arc.
Okay.
It's just that the structure of this one is really good, and they go really into depth with how the chefs prepare for each other, and I think that's one of the most interesting things, which is like they go in knowing who their opponent is, right? It's not like a shonen battle manga necessarily where you don't necessarily know, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But they do know, kind of like they have an idea of what it is like going in, and they're able to prepare countermeasures, and I think that's like kind of there's a very interesting sort of mind games outplay component to it, which really shows up in full force in sort of the latter half that's out right now.
Oh, so all of this is in the manga, right?
Well, there's a lot of it in the anime as well. Like if you look at Soma's fight with Mimisaka, that's a good one, right? Because he's basically outplaying someone who outplays.
Right. Yeah.
And like the character of Mimisaka just as a whole is sort of indicative of this trend. Yeah, it's pretty great, honestly, and I think it's a really great way to have shonen without fighting. All of the components of the competition are there, but it's not necessary. It's like it has all the components of like fighting, but also a lot of the good components about sports kind of mixed in there. And at the same time, it doesn't, I don't think, take a lot of the negatives from either one of those.
Okay. So you think it's like kind of like an improved mishmash of like sports and battle arcs?
I think so too. Like if I was to herald this as like the third generation of great shonen, like I don't think I would be off.
Okay.
Like if we have like Dragon Ball Z as generation 1 and then the big 3 as generation 2, then this would be generation 3. Like this and Boku no Hero.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. This is things that take the tired formulas that we don't like unnecessarily, or we're tired of, or like we're fatigued on, and then improving them or cutting away all of the fat, I guess, is kind of a fun metaphor to use here. Like trimming the fat.
Food metaphors.
It's a food metaphor. Yeah, I think that's a very sort of good way of putting it. Like it's an improvement.
Sure. Yeah.
It is an evolution on the genre.
Okay.
If there's one thing that it struggles with, and I think that you would probably agree with me when I say this, is setting the stakes. I think is probably where it's weakest, right? Because
yes.
For sports, it's pretty easy. It's just like, oh, we want to make the big tournament before the third years graduate, right? And that sets like an immediate time limit as well as like a sort of a transience to the situation, right? It's not like we can revisit it, right? There's an importance to the outcome of this situation.
Right.
And with fighting, it's like, okay, someone will die, right? Like, that's pretty easy. Someone will lose and they'll probably die as a result.
Right.
And I think that's probably maybe one of the biggest places where it falters. You know, it doesn't do a great job of setting the stakes. Like, because the first time it's like, oh, he's gonna not get into the school. Never mind, he gets into school. Oh, he's gonna get expelled. And then, you know, after the 5th time, he's like, oh, they're gonna expel him. And you're just like, oh, it's old hat. Like, they just have to have this to make it feel like it's important. Like, I think even downplaying some of that is okay. Like, I think just having it be about, I want to make the best food is pretty okay.
Right.
I will say I actually don't hate the drama that they build about the family, even though I know that you think it's kind of like trite, but I think it's okay, honestly.
Okay. No, that's fair. Yeah, I think the stakes that they try to make are just, you know, they're unnecessary, right? Because they're already telling a good story about the food. It just seems like they're putting the stakes there just to put it there for like the people who are like who they fear won't care about the story.
Yeah, because I think expulsion is a bad one, right? Like that's such a all or nothing sort of game, and when the stakes are so explicit and binary, there's not a good way of avoiding cliche, right? There's not a good way of saying like, because obviously they're not going to expel like half the cast, right? For realsies, like someone's gonna win. And they're gonna, I mean, well, okay. I guess I'll hold off on saying that for like maybe 10 more chapters, but I don't think that they're going to expel all of the characters. Like I can see there being kind of an interesting sort of Star Wars, like this is our last hope, like illegal cooking rebellion, but I really don't think so. I think that like in the very end, like, you know, obviously the people will prevail. And to some extent, it's not about that. Like, all shonen kind of falls into this. You know, it's the person who is meant to win is going to win at the end. It's just about building investment towards it, which is why I don't hate the cooking, like, drama, right? Like, the Nakiri family drama. Because obviously we know that, like, you know, Erina and Soma are gonna pull through in the end. But I feel like, and I think part of this might be just like general attachment to the characters, which, you know, people have sort of mixed opinions on. I think it's fine because I kind of like Erina. I think she's fine. And as a result, I think the drama works. But if you're not as invested in her and you're just like, well, she's just a tsundere, like, whatever.
Yeah, I'm that.
Like, you're on that train. Like, you're obviously not going to be as invested in it.
Yeah. Because I think the whole drama with her, it almost assumes that you're invested in her at this point because she's been there since day one.
Which is, I think, interesting because, like, they kind of just don't talk about her for a solid couple arcs.
Yeah.
She just shows up.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know. And for me, it was like her character just fell so flat, at least, you know, because every time she showed up, she'd just do the Sun thing, right? And then, like, when you get to know more about her private life, then it kind of opens up more and more. But then the drama happens. And then I'm like, but I haven't had enough time to build up my emotional investment in her to care about her drama yet.
Right, like this is why I think some of the best arcs in the show and in the series, I guess, are centered on Tadakoro. Because I think they build up her like she's an intensely likable character.
Yes.
And they build up her drama in a way that is reasonable and consistent.
Yeah.
And also works for her character and also drives character development.
Yes. I agree.
And I think that she's, I think, maybe one of the strongest characters in the series for that reason.
Yep.
I think the writing for anything surrounding her is definitely the strongest. Even though, like, she follows kind of a predictable path, right? You know, it's like, oh, she's not confident in her abilities, but she's pretty strong. So, you know, as long as she gets some self-confidence, she'll do great.
Right.
And, you know, obviously, like, that's old hat. Everyone's done that. But because she's an intensely likable character, you're invested. You care.
Yes.
Even if her story is, like, you know, cliche, it's done in a way as to build investment. And
right.
It's satisfying when she wins.
Yes, I agree.
And I think that's one of the most important things with shonen manga is to build to a satisfying, you know, conclusion, sort of a satisfying denouement, so to speak.
Sure. All right. So do you have any characters you would consider your favoritos?
Yeah. I mean, definitely. I think Best Boy is just fucking obvious. Best Boy is goddamn Kurokiba Ryo because he's the best.
He is the best.
Like, objectively the best of the boys.
I also love him the most.
I think you could make a strong case for Naked Apron Boy, but
oh yes, but I when Ryo gets involved, I get so hyped.
I love him. He's so good because he's so low key. He's just like, oh yeah, whatever. Yeah. And then he puts his headband on, and then suddenly he's just like, I'm gonna kill everybody with my cooking. I'm gonna make them eat food that's so good they die.
Like, it builds on that trope of they have this a lot in shonens, right? Where it's just like, you know, the low key dude like has a switch flipped when he gets into his craft, right? Like they did this in Prince of Tennis. They do this in Shokugeki, etc. But I don't know, for some reason the one with Ryo and this, it just, I don't know why, but I get so hyped with him.
I mean, I think it's because, you know, he's like an intense character, right? to some extent that is, offset and complemented by the fact that he's with Alice, and Alice is like such a different character, like intense but in a different way.
Right.
They build each other really well, but also I think Rio has the benefit of being in the plot at the right places.
Okay.
I think the sort of, because again, he almost falls into like it's very interesting because Rio is a character that's kind of like a pastiche of a lot of different characters, right? At one time we were enemies, but now we are friends and allies, right? Like that sort of thing.
Right.
Is really great in shonen. I love that. That's why I love when Mimisaka comes back. I love when Rio comes back.
Yeah.
And I love when Hayama comes back.
Yeah.
Spice Boy.
Yeah. I like Spice Boy too.
But yeah, I think that's part of it, right? Like he's kind of like this Vegeta figure where he's like really angry and aggressive when he's cooking.
Yes.
But if he's on your side, you feel good about it. You're like, yeah, do that. Be angry.
Do your thing.
Like there's just something immensely satisfying. And I think also part of it is Rio is one of the characters where there's a very explicit moment of character growth where he beats one of the current Elite 10 or whatever. I don't remember. Are they the Elite Council by then or whatever? Like Central?
I don't know.
Probably. But by that point, you're just like, oh, they're being assholes. They're taking away all the good things about the academy. And then he comes in and he's just like, hey, what's up, motherfucker? And like he just wrecks space. And that feels so immensely satisfying. And he does it very specifically because he's grown from past encounters.
Right.
And you can see it. He's just like, yeah, I went for like uneven spice for your palate to like offset and make it not bland. And you're like, whoa! Not only have you grown as a person and as a chef, you smack down this huge asshole. And that feels great. That's why every time Azon comes up, it's great because he always loses in the best ways and he makes the best faces, and he's voiced by best boy Tomokazu Sugita.
Yeah, our boy.
Who's definitely a high school boy and not a 30-plus-year-old man.
Listen, he can voice all the high school boys. It's fine.
Apparently in Japan, if you go to high school, in one of your classes, guaranteed there will at least be one Tomokazu Sugita.
I love it.
He might be the delinquent, or he might be the popular boy, or he might just be that weird boy that sits in the corner.
Yeah.
Or he might be your teacher. Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
He's there.
He's there for you. I think the question of best girl is very complicated.
Oh,
it's
okay.
Kind of hard for me to choose because objectively Tadokoro is the best as a character.
Yeah.
Right? Like she gets the most development, she is written the best and portrayed well.
Yeah.
But I also just have like a soft spot preference for characters like Alice, right?
No, yeah, she would have been my close second to Tadokoro.
Okay, yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. I mean, you know how I feel.
Yeah.
In this regard, then it's very difficult because there are a lot of good characters.
Yeah. But I think those two definitely stand out amongst the female cast.
Yeah, I think Tadokoro just edges in it at best girl because of the time that we got to see her in a girl gang outfit. That's it. That's the whole reason why. It's the only thing that gives her an edge up. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I think that beats my preference for Alice, even though I like Alice a lot as just kind of a throwing a wrench in the works type of character, which I enjoy. Like, I enjoy them.
I like both of their cooking styles too. They're so vastly different, but I love them both.
Yeah, that's what I love too. Like, obviously, they're almost like two sides of the same coin, where Tadokoro is like a country girl. She has to make do with what she has, or cooking is very homely.
Yes.
Whereas Alice is very much like a scientist, right?
Yeah.
Like, because she had resources growing up, she's able to do the best that she can with the molecular gastronomy.
Yes.
Like, she knows how to use the scientific components of food and all of the best sciencey equipment just straight up, like, it's pretty clear to see how these two characters differ in their approaches. And I think that's one of the best things, right? Like, one of the best ways that they differentiate between the characters is their cooking styles. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, in a cooking series, in a cooking manga or anime, that's what's important.
Yep, I agree.
And I think each of them has a distinct enough style to be to stand out.
Right.
And that's the thing about the characters, I will say, which is there are quite a lot of them.
Yes.
But I think that they're still memorable and likable, even though I can't remember most of the people in the Polar Stars names. I know who they are if you would tell me. You're like,
right.
Smoke Boy. Oh, yeah, Smoke Boy.
Exactly.
Or like Fermentation Girl. You're like,
yeah. Or like Hunting Girl, and then it's
right, Hunting Girl, Double Buns.
Double Buns.
I love her. I love her too. She's actually maybe she's number 3. I think. There's just some really great interactions between her and Erina when she runs away. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. I think that the characters are well differentiated.
Yes.
But I think, if anything, because there's so many, it's impossible for all of them to get development. Right. Which is why we end up in a situation where they kind of end up taking the sideline a lot, right? And obviously they have a moment or two here and there where they get to be in the spotlight and they get to shine. But when it comes down to it, you know, characters that get character development are obviously the main cast. Yeah. And then some... It almost feels like the Polar Star dorm is like sort of a third layer of character, right? It's not like primary characters like, you know, Erina or Souma, or I mean, even to some extent, I think Tadakoro is a primary character. Then you have the secondary characters who are like, is like where Rio and Hayama come in, and then the third layer is where you have the Polar Star fuckos.
Hang on, they're babies.
Yeah, they're my babies, but they're just like, they're a bunch of rowdy boys. That's all I'm saying. That's the fuck squad right there.
I mean, one of them's naked all the time, so you know, it's fine.
One of them is naked all the time. He's a good boy. He's a pretty good boy.
He's a pretty good boy.
To some extent, there is also oh shit. That actually just reminds me. This is why Best Girl was such a hard category. I also really like Rindo, who is the red-haired one with the fang.
Right. I remember.
Because I like characters like that. I can't not. Yeah. Well, I mean, she's also a shit stirrer. That's why. Yeah. I mean, sure. I haven't because I haven't been keeping up with the manga. I don't know too much about her yet to be attached. Right. You haven't gotten a lot of her, but there is a lot of her in the coming season, I would say. I say that because they announced the 3rd season, first of all. But also because she plays a very important part in the events to come, and she's looking like she's going to become more important, and I like her a lot. Okay, cool. Yep. So she's tied for number 2 with Alice. Okay. Yeah, let's talk about the food, because there's a lot of it. Yes. Oh, the food looks so good. I know, it looks so good. I get really upset when I see it, but then I also learn cooking tips from them, so it's a trade-off. Yeah, it's a very educational show or manga to watch or read. I have also picked up some cooking tips. I have made some of the recipes in the series before. I made the gotcha pork roast or whatever that he makes in the first episode. I made the Shaliapin steak don. That one was really good. Cool. I've made the souffle omelet too. Oh, the souffle omelet. Yeah, that one's fun. Nice. You need to make me some. Yeah, I'll make you food. Okay, just come over. You. Yeah, we'll make. Just come over here, and then I'll make you a food. We'll have the absolute food cast. The absolute food cast. Oh my god, that would be so good. That would be so good. There's a video version where I just make the food. Yeah, and I sit there and drool. That's it. Yeah, you sit there and be completely unhelpful. Yeah, I mean, I can
I can cook a thing occasionally. I'm just not super in depth with it.
That actually reminds me. I made some food. I made breakfast earlier.
Mm.
Yesterday. Yes, yesterday. And it was great. It was a French omelet and a salad made of a baby arugula and red bell peppers, and then also just two little shrimps that were just boiled. It was very tasty. It was very good. I also made a pan roasted. I almost said steak. I made a pan roasted chicken today.
Oh,
with a crispy skin and a vinegar sauce. It was good. Anyway, sorry.
You're gonna make our listeners hungry.
Listen, we're talking about food wars. If the listeners aren't hungry, we're doing it wrong. So the food in this series is just baller.
It's baller.
It's amazing.
Who's like food style would you say is your favorite?
I don't know. I feel like that's kind of a difficult question. I tend to like Souma's just as kind of like a style thing where he's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna put dumb shit in it and hope it works.
No, his style is the diner style, right? So like he has to produce a larger volume of food, like for people to eat quickly, and then in a family setting.
The man dumps peanut butter on squid.
That's his other side. That's the other side of his personality, which is I want to make the grossest stuff possible.
I would say that I like Soma's style, mostly just because I like diner food.
Yeah, me too.
And also because I just kind of like the idea of accessible food.
Yeah, me too.
But on the other hand, Rio's great because I love seafood. I could eat seafood forever.
I love his cooking because it's so like wickedly creative. Like I get so excited to see what he's gonna like just pop out with the seafoods.
That's also why I like Alice's food, right? Because
Yes.
it's like it is obviously kind of geared towards a very rich sort of audience. It's meant for people who can afford to go to places where they know molecular gastronomy. But I do like how intensely creative it is.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's like I think one of the best things about the show, the series, I guess, is that it is so creative with its food. There's never a time that food comes out that I just think, well, that's just lazy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
All the food is so well researched, and so well implemented and used in such a way as it's quite amazing. I will say there are some times where I think that some dishes win just because they have to.
Okay.
But at the same time, I can see why, right? Like there's never a clear sort of this would objectively win over the other thing. I don't think. I think they explain pretty well why something wins. Like the Shaliapin steak wins because it is a it has acid in it, right? With the the umeboshi,
yes.
right? And that is actually really important when eating something really sort of heavy and greasy like a steak, right? Like there's a lot of fat in there, and if you don't have something spicy or something acidic to cut through it, it's gonna get very tiring.
Right. Yeah, that's why I don't usually eat steak.
I do love steak, though. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I think for most people, it would be pretty difficult, but I could just eat like a whole steak.
Just the whole thing.
Just a whole steak. I've done it before. But anyway, there's a reason people serve them with like, greens that are dressed in basically like dressing that is made with, an oil and acid. It's like, balsamic or like balsamic vinegar or like red wine vinegar, etc. etc. It's important to vary your flavor so that your palate does not get bored, which is,
yes, that's
a
real thing. Like for me, especially.
Oh, I get palate fatigue so bad. Yeah. I can't even eat the same thing too many times in a row.
Yeah, same.
That's why the dining hall is killer for me.
It's
lethal. I'm suffering.
Here you are talking about how much you enjoy your $4 steaks, and then you have to return to the dining hall when school starts.
I know. I'm gonna be honest. Being in a dorm is actually bad for it's bad for my health, right? Like ever since I've been back, I've been eating so much better. I'm like today I had a chicken breast with the skin crisped up, and I had a side salad of arugula and bell peppers because I still have some left over from yesterday. But I'm eating salad, which is just shocking. Like, you need some greens in your damn life.
What do you eat at your dining hall?
It depends on what they have. Usually, whatever, quote-unquote main course they have is kind of nasty. So normally I just end up eating, a slice of pizza or something.
No salad.
No salad. No, yeah. The salad is so gross unless it's, a freshly prepared salad. They have a salad bar, but you don't want to touch it.
Oh.
So obviously, you have to wait until they make you a salad, in the salad place, or not in the salad place, but in the dining hall main area. And usually they don't have salad, right? And if they have salad, it's we made you a buffalo chicken salad. I'm like, okay, that's okay.
Okay.
And obviously the food comes from the same place, but it's just not great.
Okay.
I gotta say, listen, eating fresh veggies, I'm spoiled. I can't eat not fresh veggies.
Mm-hmm.
Although, to be fair, I don't think not eating, I don't think asking for fresh veggies is kind of a lot to ask.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're gonna eat vegetables, they should at least not have been left out for, a couple days. It's honestly not, the dining hall salad bar isn't that bad. It's just not good.
Sure. That makes sense.
Which is the problem. A salad has to be good.
I mean, yeah, if you're going to eat it raw, right? Because it's raw vegetables, then they ought to be crisp and fresh.
Yeah. And, I mean, they tend to not have vegetables that I'm super hot about. Sometimes they have arugula, which I like a lot. It's kind of bitter and green and peppery. It's probably one of my favorite sort of green leafy vegetables. I think spinach might be a close second. Anyway, yeah, I just... palate fatigue is a real thing.
Yes.
And so if you have something sort of creative and layered and nuanced, then you're going to have a better time of it.
Yeah.
I think that's something that they display very well in the series. I think there's always times when something comes up and you're just like, oh, I understand why they won, right?
Right.
This is something that hasn't happened in the anime yet, but there's and I guess, I don't know, do you care about if I spoil this?
No, I don't care.
Okay. Well, basically, Souma draws the Soba card against the Soba god.
Oh.
She does nothing but make traditional soba, and he draws the card to pick the ingredient, and it was soba, and he wins. And the only reason he wins is he considered the fact that soba is kind of like a delicate, easy to mess with food, and so as a result, when they're in the cooking hall as opposed to anywhere else, right? The tournament hall is it's big and there's a lot of people in it, and that can affect the cooking.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really interesting. That was a very kind of, I don't know if that's real, right? But I believe it enough for it to not matter if it's real or not, right? There's a consideration of every element of something to engineer the victory of the characters who need it.
Right.
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think it's quite transparent. You can see it. You're like, I know why you're doing this. But at the same time, it doesn't really matter because you're like, well, this is still satisfying to watch. It's really nice to see Soma not win the spring tournament or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And for the reason exactly that they said, which is Hayama's dish is a dish that is intrinsically his, whereas Soma at that point is kind of a jack of all trades, right? And he continues to be so.
Yeah.
But because of that, he's weakened in the sense that he hasn't developed an identity in his cooking.
Right. Yeah, I liked that reason a lot. Mm-hmm.
And I will say, I think one of my favorite things about the manga that we haven't gotten in the anime yet is at some point, it becomes a little bit blasé that they just keep fan servicing the characters, and so they start using different metaphors.
Oh,
which is great. Specifically the soba one. The judges eat the soba, right? They eat Soma's soba, and they're just like, it's it's as if I'm enjoying the youth of my like summer, or like the summer of my youth at a fireworks festival, right?
Okay.
Which is like really cool.
Yeah.
And it's, I think, a lot closer to something like Yakitate Japan, which is like that, but much more comical.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this plays with fan service in a very sort of tongue-in-cheek way, but I think it also knows when to draw back a little bit.
Okay, that's
like, I think as a sort of piece of media, it is very understanding of both its lineage and the pitfalls of its genre. And I think it employs that knowledge well.
Okay.
I think there's a reason it's so popular beyond, titties.
But the titties help.
But yeah, they help, right? Like, no one's gonna complain about that.
So I don't watch too many like food genre animes. How would you compare this to others in the genre?
I would say it's probably one of the better ones in terms of food, if you're looking for a competition anime. Like,
okay,
if you're looking for a cooking competition anime, this is basically S tier. Right?
Okay,
like, this is the top, the cream of the crop, the creme de la creme.
Okay, get out.
It's a very sort of French food. Listen, food is very.
Listen, I know he spent a whole time in a French restaurant, but that doesn't mean you gotta,
No, it means that I can bring out my entire repertoire of French idioms.
No, it doesn't.
That have been sort of Americanized and bastardized. But yes, in terms of cooking competition shows, there aren't a lot.
Yeah.
There's Yakitate Japan, which is very like comedic. It's not supposed to be even remotely serious, really. There are things like, I Love Curry or whatever. I don't remember if that's the actual title of the manga. I don't know if that was ever made into an anime, but that's a pretty good one in the same vein as Shokugeki. Just as a correction, the actual title of the manga is Addicted to Curry, and no, it was never turned into an anime.
Okay.
Kind of funny, kind of tongue-in-cheek, but also very serious at times. But obviously it's older. And then you have, oh god, I don't remember the actual name of it, but it was like a Chinese show. The name of that show was Chuka Ichiban, and it actually was a Japanese manga set in China.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Where he's just like, I'm gonna become the best, cooking general in China.
Yeah.
Here's my mom's golden fried rice.
Right. Yes. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yes. I was turned on to this by one of my friends. I never finished it, mind you. We only watched it for like 12 or so episodes. But yeah, it was like that. I think is very similar in tone and such, right? But it's obviously very old.
Yes.
It's like 80s. 80s or 90s, I think. And it's very the animation is limited by the trappings of that time period.
Right.
I think if you're looking for a cooking competition show, Shokugeki is top tier. Like, this is where you go.
Right.
If you're looking for something to look at, like, nice food porn of, this is also pretty good. Like, the food in it is very appealing, and it makes you hungry. It's very good to look at. I would say, in terms of food anime in general, I think some are better in certain respects.
Okay.
But only because they're different, right? Like, I think something like Wakakozake is better for if you want something kind of laid back and slice of lifey.
Okay.
Right? Like, Shokugeki is very shonen. It's very drama oriented.
Right.
It's not very slice of life. It's not very slow.
Right.
Or rather, it's not very it doesn't feel very slow most of the time. Although sometimes an arc drags on a little bit. I think there are shows that are pretty good. Like, things like Kofuku Graffiti.
Yeah.
Which is another one where they eat food erotically. Which is like kind of a weird sort of very specific genre that exists in Japan.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'm kind of here for it.
I feel like Kofuku Graffiti, from what little I saw of it, was a lot more sexualized than Shokugeki. Right? Like, Shokugeki clothes just fly off, and then Kofuku it's like you're in it.
I think the thing about it is that Shokugeki is like sexual in the way that it's using that as kind of a either relatable or kind of a shock value sort of thing, whereas Kofuku Graffiti is like very sensual, and that can feel almost more intimate, I
Right.
think. And I think part of that also derives from the nature of the show, where it's about family, technically, and so it's inherently a little bit more intimate. But also like the framing of the shots and how they direct the the scenes is meant to evoke that.
Right.
Yeah. And obviously I've like it's quite funny because we've gotten to a point where anime has food even if it's not a food anime, right? Like look at any Studio Ghibli movie.
Yes.
And like the food in that is just god tier.
Yes.
You look at like Howl's Moving Castle, that big
Yes.
slab of bacon,
Yes.
you're just like,
oh my god,
damn, do I want that
The
slab
breakfast.
of bacon in my mouth? That jelly egg, that delicious slab of bacon.
God.
All the fucking food in Spirited Away,
Yeah.
where they're just like, I don't know what we're putting in our mouths, but I don't care. That
Yeah.
looks amazing.
Yeah.
It's so weird. It's like, what is that? Is that like an onion skin stuffed with something? Who knows?
An onion skin.
Like an onion. But yeah, I think that there are certainly some shows that you can turn to for more comfortable sort of tones.
Sure.
Like the Fate. I was almost gonna say ripoff. The Fate spinoff.
Fate ripoff.
It's not a ripoff. That would be something else. I'm sure we could make a list of Fate ripoffs. But yeah, the Fate spinoff where he's just cooking.
Yes.
That's one of those that I would point to where it's very kind of comfy and cushy and soft. Like I think soft is a word to describe many cooking shows,
Soft.
whereas Shokugeki is a hard show.
Hard. Soft.
You know, you're soft. I'll make you hard like me.
Oh no.
That's it. The Shokugeki is a hard cooking anime, whereas other shows tend to be soft cooking animes.
Gone too far.
I've done it. I've classified it perfectly.
Too far.
Just like hey, don't think about that. Just think about like the doneness of an egg.
No, it's too late.
Well, I mean, really, this is your fault. I think. Get your head out of the gutter.
I didn't use the adjectives soft and hard to reference sexualized food animes, okay?
Whatever. So, I mean, the only other thing that we have left to talk about is the anime versus the manga. It's a very faithful adaptation, I
Okay.
would say. If anything, they just tighten it up, right? Like, obviously, a serialized manga is going to have a little bit of... I mean, I'm going to use this metaphor again, but it has some fat to be trimmed off.
Oh my god.
It's a very faithful adaptation. There's no filler, there's no bullshit, there's no useless extension of there's no overstaying its welcome,
Okay.
so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
It's Shokugeki and Boku no Hero are two really great examples of how you do longer running shows. You just do it seasonally.
You
Right?
mean...
Like you don't have to do the One Piece thing anymore of
yes.
of like, here's 5 minutes of episode preceded
Yes.
by 10 minutes of recap and 5
Yes.
minutes of preview, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can just do it seasonally,
Mm-hmm.
and people are fine. Like, they're interested enough that, obviously you'll drop some people, but they're interested enough that whenever it comes out, they'll watch it.
Right. Like, I feel like that way it keeps the pacing tighter, it keeps more faithful to the storyline, and that way people won't, like, get bored of it.
I think in a lot of ways, for very successful series, this is the way forward, and
Yeah.
it's proven to work, and they have to do it.
Yeah.
Because if not, we're going to run into a lot more bullshit that we did in the 90s and the early 2000s. So hopefully that trend is over. I mean, we got this with popular series like Attack on Titan. Like, seasonal.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we waited an eternity and a half for season 2, but people still watched it.
That's true. People did still watch it.
that's just the way that it's going. It's very good, honestly. The big advantage that anime has is that there's motion and sound and voice, which helps to drive empathy. It helps to drive emotional investment. It helps to drive the drama of a scene when there's music building up to it. There's a lot of very good sort of ways to build mood and set tone.
Right.
Shokugeki, I think the directing itself of the scenes is pretty okay. It's not super standout, I would say. And there's a lot of shots that are clearly there to save budget, right?
Sure.
Where it's just, here's a shot of someone's face and their mouth is moving and they're talking. But, at the same time, really, that was a lot of panels in the manga too. So I can't really fault them for that, I don't think.
Okay.
But they don't skimp where it counts. And that's what's important.
Yeah, exactly. All right, cool.
I do think, and there's just one more thing I have to say about the show. If there is one thing, it is very focused around like technical skill and creativity, obviously, to the point where it's almost unrealistic, which I think works in the favor of the show, mind you. Like, this isn't a criticism.
Okay.
But I think if you're looking for something closer to reality, you might want to look somewhere else. There's not a lot of other places to look for competition, but a lot of other shows do cooking as cooking more realistically. Sure. Now, if you want something to watch and you feel bad that you've never cooked before in your life, watch Sweetness and Lightning. It's about a single dad, and he learns to cook for his little baby girl.
It's not a competition.
It's so cute. It's not a competition, but it will warm your heart.
Yeah.
It will be. It's the anime equivalent of drinking an entire bowl of miso soup and feeling it just warm in your belly.
Oh my god.
That's what I'm not wrong.
I'm not wrong.
Why are you booing me? I am right. I'm
not. I just think it's funny. I think you're absolutely right, because I also really love that anime, and I got teary over the actual gooey ooey sweetness of it.
It's like getting a hug from the inside.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. I think I'm done. I think I'm done with metaphors.
You tried so hard this whole episode.
I went very hard with my literature major. I did all the metaphors. I tried to make it as relatable as possible for you kids out there. I said my memes. I'm done. Where can we find you on the internet?
Soft and hard, kids. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, Tumblr, all that at SwanDrawn. And I'll be there. I'll be arting a lot this week, and then next week, after the convention, is April, so I'll be probably continuing playing Okami and Valhalla, and I think I might be doing a playthrough of Hatoful Boyfriend with my friendo who has never played it before. So,
oh my god,
are you
ready? Is this the same friend that you played Doki Doki with?
Yes.
Are you just dragging them into like? Really?
Into depravity? Yes.
One psychological horror visual novel after the other. Yeah. What are you gonna do next? Play Saya no Uta?
We'll see.
If you don't know, that's the one where the guy gets a concussion because he's in a car accident, and then he wants to fuck an eldritch being because it looks like a little anime girl.
I don't want to go into that realm.
Okay, you should look this up though. It's by Gen Urobuchi, who wrote Madoka, and you read it and you're like, oh, I get it.
Oh,
I understand this man now. This isn't just a one-time thing.
I haven't even, let's just leave that. Let's just
leave that where it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say Gen Urobuchi is a lot, and Sayo no Uta is a game. It's not maybe a good game, or maybe not even a good story, but it sure is a game, and it sure is a story.
Okay.
That's all I gotta say about that.
Cool. Where can we find you, Sue?
You can find me at all of the places on all of the internet at Literal Soup. And that's about it.
Yay.
If you look at my Twitter, I post a lot of pictures of food. Sometimes I make it. Usually I don't because I live in the mountains where I go to school, where the only food is the dining hall, and given that I don't want to eat that, my other classmates.
You sound happier though.
I do.
Yeah.
I'm a lot happier now that I am in a place where I can eat real food for a week before I have to return for 10 more weeks of arduous mental training so that I can become a warrior monk of English literature. and yeah. I think that's it. I think that's the end of the podcast.
Okay.
Akechigoro, eat your fucking heart out.
Oh my god, leave it!
No, wait, hang on.
What?
Would you prefer don't be soft, be hard like me?
No! Akechigoro! I choose Akechigoro!
Then you have to say it.
Akechigoro, eat your heart out. Don't be hard like soup.
He wasn't hard enough, that's why he died.
Oh my god!
Okay.